as of yesterday, I am 2 months postpartum. So I did want to just go into a little bit more detail of how my unmedicated birth story went and how things went as planned and how some things didn't go as planned. So this time around, I did have to get induced again. I was pretty nervous of how we were gonna go about it because with my first pregnancy, I was a little traumatized just due to a nurse that I had and how like rough she was with the induction process. So I wanted to just know how we were gonna go about that once we got there. We got to the hospital Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m. We got checked in like around 8 p.m. and after just getting situated in our room and changed into my gown and everything, I was pretty nervous just to get everything started and just to see how we're gonna go about getting the induction process started. My first nurse, she was amazing. I just basically told her everything that I felt and what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. I remember she just told me because I was 3.5 centimeters dilated and she could feel the baby's head that we could just get started on Pitocin. So just to insert the IV and just get that Pitocin medicine just flowing, you know. So once she told me that, we did have to wait like another hour just so she could run it by the doctor. There was doing a C-section at that time, so I did have to wait for that. But once my doctor came into my room, she explained what Pitocin was, how we're gonna go about it, and how that we're just gonna get started. We just started the Pitocin. I believe we started the Pitocin around, I want to say 9:30 or 10 p.m. like around that time. We were just chilling. Me and my husband, we were just playing Uno. No, I think he was a little more nervous about how to go about things because it was just a waiting game at that point. We didn't know how my body was gonna do with the Pitocin. So yeah, we decided to go to sleep at like around 11:40, 12. These things got hectic an hour or two from there. I remember after going to sleep around midnight, I got woken up by my nurse at 1 a.m. She woke me up and she was like, hey, are you feeling any contractions at all? I was just sleeping and she told me, okay, I just want to check on you because on my monitor it looks like you're getting them every 3 to 5 minutes and they're like pretty strong, but she wanted to check on me, you know. And I was like, oh well, I'm not feeling them, I think I was just sleeping through them. Okay, just get some rest. And she left. And once she left, I knew my mom got out of work at 1 a.m. So I sent her a message and I was like, hey, are you home? How's my son doing? Like, how's Sebastian doing? Because he stayed with my parents. And I went back to sleep for like 5-10 minutes and I started feeling the contractions. And I literally, to this moment, I think about it, I'm just like, if my nurse didn't wake me up, I feel like I would have just slept through them. Is that even possible? Because like they're pretty strong, like you could feel them. And yeah, I couldn't go back to sleep. I was able to tolerate the contractions until it was 2 a.m. and at that point I couldn't lay down. I could not lay down at all. Like it was very uncomfortable to even just be on my side. So that's when I got up and I was just like wobbling through them and just swaying back and forth and just the contractions weren't like so bad to wake up my husband, so I was just like I'll just let him sleep while I just powered through them a little bit more. And I remember once it was like 2:10 a.m. that's when I like even breathing through them I couldn't, like I really could not, and they were coming like every minute at that point. I just woke him up. Yeah, I think I'm like feeling it now, like I'm getting these contractions, they're getting harder. Just woke up and do you want to like get started on the counter pressure? Like, yeah. So every time I get a contraction at that point, I was trying to breathe through them. He was giving me counter pressure on my hips. I literally do not understand how it got to that point because I was just fine 1 second, and once I woke my husband up and he started with the counter pressure, like my contractions were like literally 0 to 100. I told him to grab the nurse because I need her to check me because I feel like really intense contractions. And he wanted to go get the nurse and the nurse came in. I was just confused at that point. I was getting into a bad little mindset. I want the epidural. I didn't get contractions this intense, and I don't know how far I'll be until I start pushing. So I didn't know if I could do it, so I requested, I want the epidural, like bring me the epidural. Okay, I'm gonna check where the anesthesia team is at. I'll give them a call. But I did mention to her that in the beginning, before I started induction, that I did want to try to do an unmedicated birth because I've always wanted to do an unmedicated birth. So she was just encouraging me a little bit, to just like, I know you really wanted to do an unmedicated birth, like we're here to help you, just tell us what to do. We'll massage you, we'll stretch you, we'll help you do all these things, just so you can achieve what your goal is, like what you wanted to do. I know I said that, but at this point, like, give me the epidural. I don't want to do the unmedicated birth. Like, I don't think I can do it. And you know, they're just there to encourage you at that point. So she did call the epidural team. Honestly, I feel like I was literally in labor for like an hour. Everything happened so fast, but I was in active labor for 2 hours. At that point, I believe it was already like 3:30. And once she checked me at 3:30, I thought I was gonna die. Everything seemed crazy to me. Like, if I wasn't even real at that point. My husband called my nurses into my room. They didn't leave. They stayed in there and they were just helping me. I got into all fours on the bed, and my husband was giving me like counter pressure, and the nurse behind me, she was just putting like her fist like this behind my butt, and she was pushing it forward so I could feel that pressure. Like when I leaned back, she was pushing forward, so it was like that pressure, like it was helping. At that point, I was yelling like each contraction. I was getting that break in between. Honestly, I feel like that's what helped me so much. I was getting a contraction, break, contraction, break. I think I was getting a break for like 10 seconds, I believe. I stayed on all fours for like maybe 30 minutes. And at that point, I couldn't do it. I broke down crying, and I told her, I was like, I can't do it, I can't do it. Let me check you because it looks like you're really having really intense contractions. So she checked me, and I was 6.5 centimeters dilated from the last time she checked me. And she told me, you're in active labor. And I was like, okay, when is the epidural team coming up here? Because I need the epidural. She told me that they might be busy with someone, but they were on their way. She did call them, and I told her I couldn't do it. Like, it was really hard for me. And she said there are other ways to ease the pain a little bit. So she did offer like the gas mask, and I took it. I was like, give me anything at this point. Like, I need something to help me with the pain. I was only able to use it just laying down on the bed, because it did get you like really dizzy to the point like it felt like you were gonna faint in a way. Breathing into that gas mask really helped me and control my breathing a little more. I feel like I was using that gas mask for like another 30 minutes. At that point, I feel like it was already like 4 a.m. Honestly, contractions were horrible. They were literally crucifying contractions. I feel like they were so bad. I can't even express how bad they were. And I feel like it was due to the Pitocin too, because the dose that I had, it was high, and she took it off. She was like, okay, you're in active. When she did tell me I was in active labor, she was like, I'm gonna stop the Pitocin. You're in active labor now. So she turned it off. Really going through it. And honestly, I don't blame my husband at all either, because I did tell him, I was just like, hey, can you like record bits and pieces of me being in labor? But I feel like he's never seen me like that, and I feel like he was also like in a state of shock. It was really different from my first pregnancy. The way I was acting, the way I was like handling the contractions, like he's obviously never seen me struggling so much like that. And I know that he was like in a state of shock a little bit to even progress, to even think about other things. So honestly, that was the least of our worries. And he was there like 100%, like just helping me through the contractions and through the counter pressure. There was a point in my labor where I was in all fours on my bed. I was getting a contraction, and I was yelling really loud. Being by myself and just like actually thinking of how everything went and just like remembering actually like in detail and in depth of how everything happened, I feel like it's like traumatic in a way to just repeat it, because like these are like small details like I like haven't told anyone. Yeah, there was a moment where I was in all four on the bed and I was having contraction. I remember yelling, like grunting and yelling at the top of my lungs, like super loud. And after the contraction went away, I started bawling. My eyes out. Like my husband was right here. Like I felt like my body just fell back on him. My head went back to his shoulder, to where his head is, and I was crying. No puedo. Like, I can't do this. Si puedes, like you can do it, you can do it. Oh, I remember that. I remember my two nurses, literally always remember them. They're like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to yell, it's okay to grunt. Like within each contraction I was getting, I was yelling, going crazy. Like I feel like it was like a full exorcist mode. During each contraction, I was on my tippy toes. I couldn't, like, they were intense. Towards almost the end, during some points during my contractions, I honestly felt like I was gonna die. You could like see everything like so faint in a way, and I literally felt like any moment I would just see like white and I would like be gone. Like they were that intense. I was yelling at that point. I even feel so bad and I apologized right after birth, but I yelled at her. I was just like, where is the epidural team? Like I need it. Like I felt so bad, but in the same time I requested the epidural a long time ago, and they got to this point and I felt like I just couldn't. Like I really could not. The epidural team did come in, and at that point I was just going crazy. Whenever you're ready, sit on the edge of the bed, we'll insert the epidural and you'll be good, okay? But honestly, with only 5 seconds of a break, I feel like I could not do it. I would sit at the edge of the bed, but I couldn't even sit down. I was like sitting down and I was like hopping like that because like I felt like a pressure there. I felt like I was sitting on the ball. I felt like I was sitting on the ball and I could not, for no matter what it took for me, I could not sit down. Like, we need you to sit down and stay very still. I'll be quick with it, you'll get it inserted, but you really need to sit down and be still for a couple seconds because it's really dangerous. Or else I can't do it for you. Like, I want the epidural, like I need it, like I'll sit still. But every time I will try to sit down or stay still, I couldn't do it. Like, they couldn't even get past the little liquid that they put on your back. I couldn't get past it. A male doctor came in front of me. Like, I think he moved over, like my husband, and he put a shirt in front of me. He put my feet on it, and he held my arms. And he was just like, if you want this epidural, she'll be quick with it, but you need to stay still and you can't move. If you do that, we have to leave because we're not gonna risk anything. I was sitting down and I tried to bend over. I tried my hardest to sit down and just sit through the contractions, and he was holding my hands down, punching like the chair like so bad. And he told me, he was just, you can grip my hand as hard as you can, but you can't push the chair because that's like, you're moving, you can't move. And once they saw the state that I was in such a very negative state. Like I couldn't compose myself at all. Like, it would have been too dangerous, and I'm glad that they stopped because I was moving too much. I couldn't even sit down at all. She checked me and I was at 10 centimeters. Once the epidural team and I like heard that I was at 10 centimeters, they left. They left the room, and I feel like I noticed them leaving, but I didn't at the same time. I was just on the bed, like moving like crazy, going like crazy, because I was just sitting down at that point now. So I was just going back and forth. Like, I was like going crazy. And honestly, I feel like this moment, I'll never forget it. Mind you, I had the combs in my hand. I had 2 combs in my hand to help with the pressure. I never let them go throughout the whole thing. And it got to the point where I was laying down when she did that cervical check. And during each contraction, I was squeezing the heck out of it, and I was biting off the cone pieces and just hitting like the bed railing. I was literally going crazy. I remember just letting the combs go. It clicked in my head. I was like, I'm gonna have to push this baby out. Like, I'm gonna have to push him out without the epidural. I'm gonna have to push him out and feel the ring of fire. I'm gonna push him out without medication. And I was terrified. The nurse didn't say anything to me yet. I didn't say anything to the nurse. I grabbed the railing. I was on my side. I lifted up one leg and I did one big push. Head was out. I did another push, and I remember the nurse just grabbing, going under there. Baby was out. Literally, Alfredo was on the other side of the room and the baby was out. The baby was out in 2 pushes, and the whole body slipped out like nothing, literally like a gush of like water. I put the baby in my arms, and I feel like my eyes just cleared up. I saw everyone that was in the room now. I was so surprised, and I was just in a state of shock. I was like, I really did that. Like, I really just had a baby without the epidural. It just couldn't process in my head. I was in shock that I just had that baby. I was induced with Pitocin. The contractions were intense. I was in active labor for 2.5 hours, I believe. And I pushed him out in like 2 pushes, which is so crazy to me. I said I feel embarrassed. Like, I feel so embarrassed that you guys had to see me like that. They're like, long, you're perfectly fine, so to be sorry about. It was my dream birth in a way. Like, some things could have been different, you know? Honestly, I wouldn't change it for anything of the world. And it's crazy for me to say that I'll do it again. I would do it again. Like, that exact same birth that I had with him, I'll do it again. At the end of the day, it's crazy how everything happened and turned out, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I wouldn't change my birth experience for anything. Like, it's amazing to talk about, amazing to look back at. I toured with my first pregnancy, a second-degree tear, and I was really nervous when the doctor came near me. She was like, okay, let me just check if you tore. No tears. Thank you, Jesus. Beautiful birth story at the end of the day that I had. The way everything turned out, the way that like just God placed his hand over me. And once I had my second born, I was like, I will never give birth again. And literally not even a month later, I'm like, I want to give birth again. My husband is still traumatized. His words exactly. I feel like if he was here with me too and he said this, I would just cry. Because once we got back from the hospital and we were home with the baby, we shared our experience with one another, and there were some points that he said that I didn't even know. And said that there was a point during my labor he felt the need to like say his goodbyes to me because he felt like I wasn't gonna make it. Like, it was that bad. And I'll never forget when he told me that. That is my birth story and how everything went during my labor and my birth. And once again, would not change it for the world. I am so blessed to have the boys that I have in my life. I remember coming home from the hospital, Sebastian will not even look at his little brother. And fast forward to today, he loves them so much. I get enough of them and how cute they are together. I just can't wait for them to just grow up together and be besties for life. Other than that, thank you guys for listening to my birth story. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you can always comment them down below. One that's going to be a first-time mom, second-time mom, third-time mom. Just don't be scared. Just know that your body is meant to do what it's meant to do, and you'll get through it. And thank you guys so much for watching.